The heavy doors of the Stardust Cantina opened, and cold air rushed inside. Kim Tae-ho looked up from behind the bar where he was counting bottles of alien drinks. The cantina was built in the worst part of Station Omega-7 where the lights flickered, and the metal walls were stained with rust. Nobody came here unless they wanted to hide from something. 3 alien soldiers walked through the door. Their skin was dark green and covered with hard scales like armor. Each one had 4 powerful arms and yellow eyes that glowed in the dim light. Kim Tae-ho had seen their kind many times before. They were called Varaki, and they were some of the toughest fighters in the Galactic Empire. The biggest Varaki stomped to the bar. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. He had deep scars across his face and a metal plate covering part of his skull. This was Captain Vordan, and Kim Tae-ho knew he was dangerous. The captain slammed his fist on the bar, making all the glasses shake. Human give. "Me fire whiskey now!" Captain Vordan growled. His voice sounded like a machine breaking down. Kim Tae-ho nodded and reached for a bottle on the high shelf. The fire whiskey was red like blood, and it bubbled when air touched it. He poured it into a large metal cup and set it in front of the captain. Captain Vordan grabbed the cup with 2 hands and drank it all in one gulp. The burning liquid would kill a normal human, but the Varaki loved it. Kim Tae-ho had watched many alien soldiers drink things that were poison to humans. In his 3 years working at the cantina, he had learned what each species needed to survive. More Captain Vordan demanded and pushed the empty cup toward Kim Tae-ho. Kim Tae-ho filled the cup again without speaking. He had learned that talking too much made the alien soldiers angry. They did not like when humans acted like they were important. Most of the time, they treated humans like pets or machines. At a table near the back wall, 4 blue aliens were playing cards. Their skin was smooth and changed colors when they felt different emotions. Right now they were light blue, which meant they were relaxed. Lieutenant Kexra was sitting with them. She was tall and thin like a snake, and her eyes were completely black. "The humans on planet Kepler 9 tried to fight us yesterday," Lieutenant Kexra said while looking at her cards. "They had these tiny ships that shot little laser beams at our cruiser. It was like being attacked by fireflies." The other blue aliens laughed. Their laughter sounded like water flowing over rocks. Kim Tae-ho was wiping glasses, but he was listening to every word. The blue aliens were called Nexari, and they were scouts for the Empire. They found new planets to conquer and studied enemy defenses. "Their weapons are so weak," Lieutenant Kexra continued. "We destroyed their entire space fleet in 20 minutes. Now their planet belongs to the Empire, and all the humans, they're our slaves." Kim Tae-ho kept cleaning glasses, but his hands moved a little faster. Planet Kepler 9 had 50,000 human colonists living there. Now they were all prisoners of the Galactic Empire. He wanted to help them, but he was just one man hiding behind a bar. The cantina door opened again and more soldiers entered. This time it was a group of insect-like aliens called Zephyri. They had 6 arms each and their skin looked like black metal. Their leader was General Nalvex, who was famous for destroying human colonies. General Nalvex walked to the bar. His movements were quick and sharp, like a hunting spider. Behind him, his soldiers made clicking sounds as they talked to each other. The Zephyri language sounded like metal hitting metal. But Kim Tae-ho understood every word. "Bartender General," Nalvex said in perfect human language. "Bring nectar poison for my soldiers and human ale for me. Make sure the nectar poison is fresh. My soldiers do not drink old poison." Kim Tae-ho bowed his head. "Yes, sir. Right away," as he prepared the drinks. Kim Tae-ho listened to the Zephyri soldiers talking in their clicking language. Most humans could not learn alien languages, but Kim Tae-ho was different. He had spent years studying every species in the galaxy. The Earth defense grid has a major flaw. General Nalvex was telling his soldiers in clicks and buzzes, Their satellites are connected by quantum links, but if you destroy the main hub on their moon, all the satellites go offline at once. Kim Tae-ho carried the drinks to their table and set them down carefully. The Zephyri soldiers did not look at him. They thought he was too stupid to understand their language. This was exactly what Kim Tae-ho wanted them to think back at the bar. Captain Vordan was getting drunk. He had finished 4 cups of fire whiskey, and his yellow eyes were glowing brighter. When Voraki got drunk, they started talking about secret military information. We have new plasma cannons that can melt through human ship armor like butter. Captain Vordan said, loudly, the humans do not know about these weapons yet. When we attack Earth, their ships will be destroyed before they can fight back. Another Voraki soldier nodded and drank his fire whiskey. Human shields are made of steel and titanium, he said. Our plasma burns at 10,000 degrees. Their metal will turn to liquid in seconds. Kim Tae-ho memorized every word. The plasma cannons were new information that Earth's military needed to know if human ships were not protected against plasma weapons. The entire fleet could be destroyed in the first battle. More aliens entered the cantina throughout the night. Some were celebrating victories against human colonies. Others were planning new attacks on human worlds. Kim Tae-ho served drinks and listened. To all their conversations, a group of rock-like aliens called Terrans were discussing invasion plans for the Sol system, that was Earth's home system, where billions of humans lived. The Terrans had thick stone skin and voices like avalanches, Earth's moon base is their strongest defense point, the Terran commander was saying. But our spy satellites show it only has 2,000 soldiers. We will attack with 20,000 troops and crush them easily. His soldiers agreed and ordered more drinks. Kim Tae-ho brought them heavy ale that was strong enough for their rock bodies to feel. The Terrans thought humans were soft, weak creatures who could not fight real wars. Near closing time, Lieutenant Kexra started talking about communication codes. The Nexari had stolen secret frequencies that human ships used to talk to each other. During battles, this information would let the Empire jam human communications. If they cannot talk to each other, they cannot work together, Lieutenant Kexra explained. To her soldiers, their admirals will give orders, but the ship captains will not hear them. It will be chaos. Kim Tae-ho finished cleaning the bar and started putting bottles away. His face showed no emotion, but inside his mind was recording everything. The communication codes were extremely valuable information that could save thousands of human lives. Lee Ji-hai was sweeping the floor near the kitchen. She was a young human woman who had worked at the cantina for 6 months. She thought Kim Tae-ho was just naturally quiet and shy. Park Min-ho was fixing broken chairs in the corner. He was an older man who did maintenance work around the station. Both of them believed Kim Tae-ho was exactly what he appeared to be, a simple bartender who served drinks to alien soldiers. They had no idea about his real identity or his real mission on Station Omega 7A's. The last soldiers left the cantina. Kim Tae-ho locked the doors and turned off most of the lights. Lee Ji-hai and Park Min-ho said goodnight and went to their own quarters behind the kitchen. Kim Tae-ho waited until he was completely alone. Then he walked to his small room behind the bar. The room looked ordinary, with a bed, a desk, and some clothes hanging on hooks. But hidden inside the walls were communication devices that could send messages across the galaxy. Kim Tae-ho sat at his desk and began writing everything he had heard that night in special codes that only Earth's military intelligence could read. The plasma cannon information, the communication frequencies, the invasion plans for the moon base. All of it went into his report. For 3 years, Kim Tae-ho had been the perfect spy. He acted like a quiet, harmless human who was afraid of the alien soldiers. But in reality, he was. Colonel Kim Tae-ho, one of Earth's most dangerous special forces operators. His job was to gather intelligence and wait for the right moment to strike back. The alien soldiers in the Stardust cantina thought they were safe. They believed humans were too weak and stupid to threaten the mighty Galactic Empire. They had no idea that their quiet bartender was listening to every word and preparing for war. Soon the Empire would learn the truth about human strength. Soon they would discover what happened when Earth's children were threatened. And it would all begin with the man they ignored, the quiet bartender who remembered everything. The morning after Kim Tae-ho sent his intelligence report, the galaxy changed forever. Red emergency lights flashed throughout Station Omega-7, and alarm sirens wailed like wounded animals. The cantina was closed, but Kim Tae-ho stood behind the bar. Watching news feeds on the wall screens, Earth's outer colonies were under attack. 3 massive fleets of alien warships had appeared at the edge of human space. Each fleet carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. The Galactic Empire had finally decided to crush humanity once and for all. Captain Vordan burst through the cantina doors with 10 Voraki soldiers behind him. His yellow eyes were blazing with excitement and his 4 arms moved in aggressive patterns, the scales on. His skin had turned darker, which meant he was ready for battle. Bartender. He shouted at Kim Tae-ho, "Bring fire whiskey for all my soldiers. We are celebrating the beginning of the end for your pathetic species." Kim Tae-ho bowed his head and started pouring drinks. His hands were steady, but inside his heart was pounding. The war had begun, and Earth needed every advantage it could get. The information he had gathered was already being used by human commanders. But would it be enough? The news feeds showed terrible images, human ships exploding in bright flashes, colonies burning from orbital bombardment, millions of people fleeing their homes as alien armies landed on their worlds. The Galactic Empire was keeping its promise to destroy humanity, Lieutenant. Kexra arrived with her Nexari scouts. Her blue skin was bright purple with joy as she watched the destruction on the screens. The snake-like alien hissed with pleasure as she saw human cities burning. "Look how easily they fall," she said to her soldiers. "Their defenses are like paper against our weapons. In 3 days, we will be drinking victory wine on Earth itself." Kim Tae-ho served drinks to the celebrating aliens, but he was listening to every word they said. The Nexari had new information about Earth's defensive positions. They knew about secret military bases that even Kim Tae-ho had not heard of before. General Nalvex entered the cantina with urgent news for the other commanders. His 6 arms moved rapidly as he spoke in the common galactic language that all species could understand. "The human fleet is moving faster than we expected," he announced. "Their ships are using new tactics that our computers did not predict. 3 of our destroyers were lost in the first battle." Captain Vordan slammed his cup on the bar. "Impossible," he roared. "Human technology is centuries behind ours. How can they destroy our ships?" Kim Tae-ho refilled the captain's cup while listening carefully. General Nalvex explained that human ships were targeting the exact weak points that the aliens had discussed in the cantina. The plasma cannon vulnerabilities, the shield generator flaws, the communication jamming frequencies. Earth was using every piece of intelligence that Kim Tae-ho had provided, but something else was happening that surprised everyone. The human ships were fighting with a level of coordination and tactical skill that the aliens had never seen before. Every human captain seemed to know exactly what the enemy would do next. Our battle computers cannot predict their movements. General Nalvex continued. "They fight like they can read our minds. Their admirals are making decisions that should be impossible." Kim Tae-ho allowed himself a small smile as he cleaned glasses. Earth's military had more than just his intelligence reports. They had been studying alien psychology and battle tactics for years. Every conversation in the cantina had been analyzed by human strategists who now understood exactly how their enemies thought. Celebration in the cantina was becoming less cheerful as more bad news arrived. A Terran commander brought word that the human moon base was fighting back with unexpected power. The 20,000 troops that were supposed to crush 2,000 defenders were taking heavy casualties. "They have weapons we have never seen before," the Terran reported in his deep, rocky voice. "Energy shields that stop our plasma cannons, missiles that track our ships through hyperspace, some kind of new armor." That our lasers cannot penetrate. Captain Vordan was getting angry. His yellow eyes blazed brighter and his scales turned almost black. Humans are supposed to be weak, he growled. How can they have better weapons than the Empire? Kim Tae-ho brought more drinks and listened to the aliens argue among themselves. They were starting to realize that they had made a terrible mistake about human capabilities. The quiet species they had ignored was fighting back with technologies that seemed impossible. Lieutenant Kex-Ra received a message on her communication device. Her purple skin turned pale blue as she read the report. Our spy network on Earth has gone completely silent. She announced, we cannot get any information about their military movements. The other. Aliens looked worried. A spy network that had worked. Station Omega-7 shook violently as explosions rocked the outer hull. Emergency lights bathed everything in blood-red shadows, while sirens screamed warnings that echoed through metal corridors. Kim Tae-ho stood calmly behind the bar of the empty cantina, watching alien soldiers run past the windows in panic. Earth's fleet had found the station. Hidden human ships appeared from hyperspace and began attacking with surgical precision. They targeted specific weak points in the station's defenses, weak points that Kim Tae-ho had identified and reported months ago. The aliens who had felt so safe were now trapped in a metal cage under assault. Captain Vordan burst through the cantina doors with 20 Voraki soldiers. His yellow eyes were wild with rage and fear. The scales on his massive body had turned black as night, which meant he was ready to kill something. The other soldiers spread out to block every exit. Someone has been feeding information to the humans. Captain Vordan roared, spittle flying from his mouth. There is a spy among us, and I will find them, Kim. Tae-ho continued wiping glasses with steady hands, even as the station shuddered from another impact. He had been preparing for this moment for 3 years. Every detail of his escape route had been planned. Every possible scenario had been considered. Search every room. Captain Vordan ordered his soldiers, find every human on this station and bring them to me alive. I want to question them personally before I tear them apart. The Voraki soldiers stomped through the cantina, overturning tables and smashing chairs. They were looking for hidden communication devices or secret compartments, but Kim Tae-ho had been too careful. His equipment was hidden in places. They would never think to look. Lieutenant Kex-Ra slithered into the cantina with her Nexari scouts. Her skin was flashing between different colors as emotions fought inside her mind. Purple anger mixed with blue fear and yellow confusion. She had never seen the Empire lose a battle before. Our communication arrays are being jammed, she reported to Captain Vordan. We cannot call for reinforcements. The humans know exactly which frequencies we use for military communications. Kim Tae-ho allowed himself a small smile as he set down a clean glass. The communication frequencies were some of the first intelligence he had gathered. The aliens had been discussing their secure channels in front of him for years, never realizing that their bartender understood every word. General Nalvex arrived with terrible news written across his insect-like face. 3 of his 6 arms were injured from shrapnel, and his black metallic skin was cracked in several places. The station's defenses were failing, faster than anyone had expected. The humans are not just attacking randomly, he announced. They know the exact location of our command center, our weapons storage, our life support systems. They have detailed blueprints of this entire station, Captain. Vordan grabbed Kim Tae-ho by the front of his shirt and lifted him off the ground. The alien's 4 powerful arms could have crushed a normal human, but Kim Tae-ho felt no fear. His body had been enhanced with military-grade implants that made him stronger and faster than he appeared. You! He growled in Kim Tae-ho's face. You have been here longer than any other human. You have heard our conversations. You must know something. Kim Tae-ho looked directly into the alien's burning yellow eyes. I am just a bartender, sir, he said in a quiet voice. I do not understand military things. I only serve drinks and clean glasses. Captain Vordan stared at him for a long moment, then threw him back against the bar. Kim Tae-ho hit the metal surface hard, enough to dent it, but he did not cry out or show pain. Instead, he straightened his clothes and picked up another glass to clean. The station shook again as human bombs exploded against the hull. Lights flickered and sparks rained from damaged ceiling. Panels. The artificial gravity fluctuated, making everyone stumble, except for Kim Tae-ho, who moved with perfect balance. Something is wrong with the human lieutenant, Kexra observed. Her snake-like eyes studied Kim Tae-ho carefully. He should be terrified, but he acts like nothing is happening. Look at how steady his hands are. General Nalvex clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The human shows no fear. He agreed in his buzzing voice. Either he is very stupid or he knows something. We do not. Kim Tae-ho continued his work as if the conversation was not about him. He had trained for years to control his body language and facial expressions. No matter what stress he faced, his appearance remained calm and neutral. The aliens suspected something, but they could not prove anything. Captain Vordan was about to grab Kim Tae-ho again when the cantina's main lights went out. Emergency lighting cast everything in a dim red glow that made shadows dance on the walls. The station's power grid was failing. As human attackers destroyed the generators, in the darkness, Kim Tae-ho moved. He was no longer behind the bar. Instead, he had somehow crossed the room without making a sound. 3 Varaki soldiers who had been guarding the door were now unconscious, on the floor. Their weapons were missing. "Where is the human captain?" Vordan shouted as he spun around looking for Kim. Tae-ho Lieutenant Kexra's skin turned white with shock. "He was right there," she hissed. How did he disappear so quickly? General Nalvex activated his thermal vision scanners, but found nothing. The human had vanished like smoke, leaving no trace of his presence. The aliens realized too late that they had been sharing their secrets with someone far more dangerous than a simple bartender. From somewhere in the darkness came the sound of Kim Tae-ho's voice, calm and cold as winter steel. "I am Colonel Kim Tae-ho, Earth Special Forces," he said. "Your invasion of human space ends today." The aliens fired their weapons wildly into the shadows, but hit only walls and furniture. Kim Tae-ho had learned every hiding place in the cantina during his 3 years of careful observation. He moved through the darkness like a ghost, while his enemies stumbled around blind one by one. The alien soldiers began to fall. Nexari scouts collapsed. With pressure points precisely struck Zephyri, warriors found their multiple arms useless against an opponent who struck faster than they could react. Varaki soldiers discovered that their armor meant nothing. To someone who knew exactly where their weak spots were, Kim Tae-ho was no longer pretending to be weak. His enhanced reflexes and combat training made him faster and stronger than any of the aliens had imagined. 3 years of listening to their conversations had taught him how each species fought and how to defeat them. Captain Vordan fired his plasma rifle at every shadow, but Kim Tae-ho was always somewhere else. The human moved with supernatural silence and struck with surgical precision. Each attack was designed to disable, rather than kill, showing a mercy that the aliens had never shown to humans. When the emergency lights came back on 20 alien soldiers, lay unconscious on the cantina floor. Kim Tae-ho stood in the center of. The room holding Captain Vordan's own plasma rifle pointed at the alien's head. His clothes were not even wrinkled, and his breathing was perfectly calm. "You have been defeated by a bartender," Kim Tae-ho said with a slight smile. "Colonel Kim Tae-ho, but still just a bartender. Your empire made the mistake of underestimating humanity. Now you will learn the price of that arrogance." Captain Vordan stared at the human who had fooled him for 3 years. The quiet server who had brought him drinks and cleaned his messes was actually one of Earth's most dangerous operatives. The revelation was almost too shocking to believe. From outside the cantina came the sounds of the station's final surrender. Alien voices shouted orders to cease fire and prepare for boarding. Human Marines would soon be walking through corridors that had been Empire territory just hours before. Human Marines stormed through the corridors of Station Omega-7, wearing black armor that made them look like death itself. Their movements were precise and coordinated as they secured every section of the station. Alien soldiers who had conquered worlds across the galaxy now found themselves prisoners in their own stronghold. Kim Tai-ho stood in the cantina watching through the windows as his fellow humans took control of the station. 3 years of pretending to be weak and helpless were finally over. The quiet bartender could reveal his true identity to the galaxy captain. Vordan sat on the floor with his hands secured behind his back. His yellow eyes stared at Kim Tai-ho with a mixture of rage and disbelief. The proud Varaki warrior could not accept that he had been outsmarted by a human he had treated like furniture. "You are not possible," Captain Vordan growled. "Your species lacks the intelligence for such deception. Humans are primitive creatures who cannot plan beyond their next meal." Kim Tai-ho smiled and poured himself a glass of water from behind the bar. The first drink he had taken for himself in 3 years. It tasted like victory. "You made the same mistake that every species makes when they encounter humanity," he said calmly. "You assumed that physical weakness meant mental weakness. You thought that being quiet meant being stupid." Lieutenant Kexra was huddled in a corner with her Nexari scouts. Her skin kept changing colors as different emotions fought inside her mind. She had built her career on understanding alien psychology, but humans remained a mystery that terrified her. "How long have you been planning this?" she whispered. Her snake-like voice trembled with fear. "How many of our secrets do you know, Kim?" Tai-ho walked over to the communication console behind the bar and activated a recording device. The screen lit up, showing thousands of hours of audio files. Every conversation that had taken place in the cantina had been recorded and analyzed. "Know the location of every major military base in the Empire," he said. Matter-of-factly, "I know your patrol schedules, your supply routes, your defensive weaknesses. I know which species are loyal to the Empire and which ones are planning rebellion." General Nalvex clicked his mandibles in distress as he realized the scope of the intelligence disaster. His 6 arms moved frantically as he tried to calculate how much damage had been done to Empire security. "You have been watching us for 3 years," he buzzed in his insect language. "But how did you learn our languages? How did you understand our military codes?" Kim Tai-ho switched to perfect Zephyri, clicking and buzzing as he answered. "I was trained for this mission since childhood," he said in the alien tongue. "Human intelligence identified this station as a perfect listening post years before I arrived here." The aliens stared in shock as Kim Tai-ho continued speaking in different languages. He switched between Varaki growls, Nexari hisses, and Terran rumbles, demonstrating fluency that should have taken decades to achieve. Each species heard their most secret thoughts spoken back to them in their own tongue. "The human brain is more adaptable than you realize," Kim Tai-ho explained in Galactic Standard. "My neural implants allow me to process languages faster than your computers can translate them. While you were getting drunk and telling war stories, I was building the most complete intelligence file on the Empire that has ever existed." A new figure entered the cantina wearing the uniform of a human admiral. Her hair was silver with age, but her eyes were sharp as laser beams. This was Admiral Song Hai-min, the architect of Earth's victory and Kim Tai-ho's commanding officer. "Excellent work, Colonel," the Admiral said as she looked around at the captured aliens. "Your intelligence reports made this operation possible. Every weakness you identified has been exploited. Every advantage they thought they had has been turned against them." Kim Tai-ho saluted his superior officer, while the aliens watched in growing horror. They were beginning to understand that the attack on Station Omega-7 was not a desperate last stand by a doomed species. It was a carefully planned operation that had been in preparation for years. Admiral Song walked over to the communication console and activated the main display screens. Images appeared showing battles taking place across the galaxy. Human fleets were striking at Empire targets with impossible precision. Alien bases that had been secret for centuries were exploding under human bombardment. "Your intelligence network is finished," she announced to the captured aliens. "Every spy you placed in human space has been eliminated. Every communication frequency you use has been compromised. Your military codes have been broken, and your battle plans are known to our commanders." Captain Vordan struggled against his restraints as he watched his empire crumbling on the screens. "Impossible," he roared. "We have been building this intelligence network for decades. How could you destroy it so completely?" Admiral Song smiled coldly. "Because we have been building our intelligence network for even longer," she said. "Every human you thought was a harmless worker or servant was actually a trained operative. Colonel Kim here is just one of hundreds of agents we placed throughout your society." The truth hit the aliens like a physical blow. They had been infiltrated at every level of their government and military. The empire that had seemed so powerful and secure was actually riddled with human spies who had been gathering information for years. Li Ji-hai entered the cantina, but she was no longer wearing the simple clothes of a kitchen worker. Instead, she wore the uniform of a human intelligence officer. Her shy, nervous act had been as fake as Kim Tae-ho's quiet bartender, persona communications specialist Li Ji-hai reporting, she said to Admiral Song, "All alien communication arrays on the station have been secured. We have access to their entire network, including classified military channels." Park Min-ho appeared behind her, also in military uniform. The maintenance worker who had seemed so ordinary was actually a demolitions expert who had been sabotaging the station's defenses for months. Engineering specialist Park Min-ho reporting, he announced, "Explosives are in place at all critical systems. The station is completely under our control." General Nalvex made a sound like metal, grinding against metal as he realized how thoroughly they had been deceived. 3 humans working in plain sight had captured one of the Empire's most important strategic bases. The bartender, the kitchen worker, and the maintenance man had been. Earth's most dangerous weapons. Admiral Song activated another screen, showing the broader galactic situation. Human fleets were winning battles throughout Empire space. Alien worlds that had seemed unconquerable were surrendering as human forces appeared with detailed knowledge of their defenses. The Empire made a fundamental error in judgment. She explained to the aliens, "You assumed that your technology made you superior to humanity. You never considered that intelligence and planning could overcome brute force." Kim Tae-ho walked over to Captain Vordan and knelt down so they were at eye level. "For 3 years, you treated me like I was invisible," he said quietly. "You shared your secrets because you thought I was too stupid to understand them. You mocked human weakness while sitting in the same room as one of our strongest warriors." The captain's yellow eyes dimmed as he finally understood. The quiet human who had served his drinks and cleaned his messes had been studying him like a laboratory specimen. Every boast, every tactical discussion, every moment of drunken honesty had been carefully recorded and analyzed. "You were never fighting humans," Kim Tae-ho continued. "You were fighting the idea of humans that you created in your own minds. You convinced yourselves that we were weak and stupid because it made you feel superior. But reality does not care about your feelings." Admiral Song checked her chronometer and nodded to her officers. "Time to go," she announced. "The fleet is waiting, and we have other targets to secure as the human forces prepared to leave with their prisoners." Kim Tae-ho took one last look around the cantina that had been his home for 3 years, the place where he had pretended to be helpless while gathering the intelligence that would free his species from alien oppression. 6 months after the capture of Station Omega-7, the galaxy had completely changed. News networks across hundreds of worlds carried the same shocking story. Humanity, the species that everyone had dismissed as weak and primitive, had defeated the mighty Galactic Empire in battle after battle. Kim Tae-ho stood in the same cantina, but everything was different now. The Stardust Cantina had become the unofficial embassy of Earth on what was now called Liberation Station. Human diplomats met with alien representatives who came seeking peace treaties and trade agreements. The cantina itself looked almost the same, except for one important change. A large screen on the wall displayed a constant feed of galactic news showing the Empire's continued retreat from human space. Every day brought reports of more alien worlds declaring independence from imperial rule. Captain Vordan sat at his old table, but now he wore prisoner's clothing instead of military armor. His yellow eyes had lost their fierce glow, and his 4 powerful arms hung limp at his sides. The proud Voraki warrior had become a broken shell of his former self. "I still do not understand," he said quietly to Kim Tae-ho. "How did your species become so dangerous so quickly? We studied humans for decades. Your technology was primitive. Your military was weak." Kim Tae-ho brought the former captain a cup of Voraki tea, one of the few drinks that would not poison the alien species. The gesture was kind, even though Captain Vordan had treated him terribly for 3 years. "You studied what we wanted you to see," Kim Tae-ho replied calmly. "Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is a powerful advantage. Every species that conquered us thought they were superior, right up until we revealed our true capabilities." Lieutenant Kexra was also in the cantina, but she was no longer a prisoner. Instead, she wore the uniform of a Nexari diplomat. Her blue skin showed a constant pattern of nervous colors as she tried to negotiate a peace treaty between her people and Earth. "The Nexari Republic wishes to formally apologize for our participation in the Empire's aggression," she said to the human diplomats. "We were following orders and did not understand that humans were a peaceful species." Ambassador Park Soo-jin smiled politely as she reviewed the treaty documents. The former maintenance worker, Park Min-ho, had revealed himself to be one of Earth's top diplomatic experts. His years of pretending to fix broken equipment had actually been spent studying alien psychology. "The Nexari will be welcome in human space," she said, "provided they agree to our terms. No military vessels in our territory, no espionage activities, no attempts to establish spy networks." "We have had enough of alien intelligence operations." General Nalvex entered the cantina, wearing civilian clothes instead of military armor. The insect-like alien moved slowly and carefully, as if he expected to be attacked at any moment. His 6 arms trembled slightly as he approached Kim Tae-ho at the bar. "I have come to ask a question," he buzzed in his clicking language. "How many more like you are there? How many humans are hiding among us, pretending to be servants and workers?" Kim Tae-ho smiled as he polished a glass. The same smile he had worn for 3 years while the aliens thought he was harmless. "That information is classified," he said, "but I can tell you that every major alien government has been infiltrated. Humanity has been preparing for this war much longer than you realized. The truth was spreading throughout the galaxy like wildfire. Every alien species was discovering that their human servants and workers might actually be highly trained operatives. The Empire's collapse had revealed the scope of Earth's intelligence network, and now everyone was paranoid. Admiral Song entered the cantina wearing dress uniform instead of battle armor. The silver-haired woman had become famous throughout the galaxy. As the architect of humanity's victory, alien children now learned her name in history classes as the human who ended the Empire's reign of terror. "Colonel Kim," she said as she approached the bar, "the Galactic Council has voted to establish permanent diplomatic relations with Earth. They want to sign a non-aggression pact and establish trade agreements. Kim Tae-ho nodded respectfully as he served the Admiral her favorite drink. The same efficiency he had shown to alien customers for 3 years was now being used to serve his own people. "What are our terms?" he asked. "Complete withdrawal of all alien military forces from human space," Admiral Song replied. "Reparations for the colonies that were attacked. Recognition of Earth's sovereignty over our entire star system. And most importantly, full disclosure of any remaining spy networks operating in human territory. Around the cantina, alien diplomats and refugees listened to every word they had come to understand that the quiet bartender was more than just a symbol of human deception. He was now one of the most respected military officers in the galaxy, the man who had single-handedly gathered the intelligence that toppled an empire. A young Terran approached the bar nervously. His rocky skin was pale gray, which indicated extreme fear. The stone-like alien had probably never spoken to a human before, except to give orders. "Sir," he rumbled in his deep voice, "I represent the Terran Mining Guild. We wish to hire human security consultants to protect our facilities. Many of our workers have stopped coming to work because they are afraid of human infiltrators." Kim Tae-ho looked at the alien with the same calm expression he had maintained for 3 years. During the war, humans had seemed like helpless prey. Now they were feared throughout the galaxy as master strategists and invisible warriors. "Security consulting is not my area of expertise," he said politely, "but I can put you in contact with the appropriate Earth agencies. They will be happy to discuss terms for protecting your facilities." The transformation was remarkable. The aliens who had once treated humans like pets or furniture now approached them with respect and fear. The species that had been scheduled for conquest was now the dominant power in the galaxy. Lee Ji-hai entered the cantina wearing the uniform of Earth's intelligence service. She had been promoted to Director of Galactic Operations after the war. Her shy kitchen worker persona had hidden one of the sharpest minds in human intelligence. "The Zephyri Empire has officially surrendered," she reported to Admiral Song. "Their homeworlds are requesting human protection from rebel groups. Emperor Nalthek has agreed to stand trial for war crimes." Kim Tae-ho continued his work behind the bar, serving drinks and listening to conversations, just as he had done for 3 years. But now the conversations were about peace treaties instead of invasion plans. The aliens spoke respectfully instead of mockingly, and the humans were no longer hiding their true capabilities. The cantina had become a symbol of humanity's victory, the place where a quiet bartender had gathered the intelligence that freed his species from alien oppression. Visitors came from across the galaxy to see where the Empire's downfall had begun. A group of young alien students entered the cantina on a school trip. Their teacher was explaining the historical significance of the location, pointing out the exact spot where Kim Tae-ho had served drinks to the officers who planned Earth's conquest. "And this is where Colonel Kim Tae-ho worked for 3 years. The teacher explained he listened to military secrets while pretending to be a simple bartender. His intelligence reports saved billions of human lives and led to the Empire's defeat." The students stared at Kim Tae-ho with wide eyes as he calmly cleaned glasses behind the bar. It was hard for them to believe that this ordinary-looking human had changed the course of galactic history, but the evidence was undeniable. Kim Tae-ho had become a legend, the quiet bartender who became Earth's most feared warrior. His story was told throughout the galaxy as a warning about the dangers of underestimating any species. The Empire had learned too late that humans were not the weak prey they appeared to be, as the day ended and the cantina grew quiet. Kim Tae-ho finished his work and prepared to close. The same routine he had followed for 3 years. But now everything was different. Earth was free, the Empire was defeated, and the galaxy knew that humanity was a force to be respected. 5 years had passed since the war ended, and the galaxy was still learning to live with the new reality, Kim Tae-ho remained at the Stardust Cantina, but his role had evolved from spy to teacher. Young human intelligence officers came to learn from the master of long-term infiltration. The cantina looked peaceful now, with beings from dozens of species sitting together, sharing drinks and stories. The hatred and fear that had defined the Empire years was slowly being replaced by cautious cooperation. But everyone still remembered the lessons of the war. A group of new cadets from Earth Intelligence Academy sat at a corner table listening as Kim Tae-ho explained the fundamentals of deep cover operations. His voice was still quiet and calm, the same tone he had used when serving drinks to alien officers. The most important skill is patience. He told them I spent 3 years washing glasses and listening to conversations. Most people would have gone crazy from boredom. But every day brought new intelligence. Every conversation revealed another weakness. One young cadet raised her hand. "How did you stay motivated for so long?" she asked. "Did you ever want to give up and reveal your true identity?" Kim Tae-ho smiled, the same gentle expression that had fooled alien soldiers for years. "Every time I felt frustrated, I reminded myself what would happen if I failed." He said billions of humans would die if the Empire succeeded. Earth would become a slave world. My discomfort was nothing. Compared to that responsibility, Captain Vordan still came to the cantina every day, but now he worked there as a voluntary assistant. The former warrior had become fascinated by human psychology and spent his time studying how the species he had underestimated had achieved such total victory. "You humans are dangerous because you think differently than other species," he observed while helping to clean tables. "We aliens rely on superior technology and overwhelming force, but humans use creativity and misdirection. You turn your weaknesses into advantages." Kim Tae-ho nodded as he prepared drinks for the evening customers. "The Empire fell because it could not adapt?" He agreed. "Your military leaders followed the same strategies that had worked. For centuries, they could not imagine that a primitive species might have developed new approaches to warfare." Lieutenant Kexra had become a regular visitor to the cantina as well. Her role as Nexari ambassador kept her busy, but she often stopped by to discuss intelligence techniques with Kim Tae-ho. The former enemy had developed a grudging respect for human capabilities. "Your species has changed how we all think about espionage." She admitted her skin showing honest blue colors we used to believe that technology could replace human intelligence. "But your success proves that understanding psychology and culture is more important than having the best equipment." A new group entered the cantina, alien journalists who were working on a documentary about the war. They set up recording equipment and asked Kim Tae-ho to tell his story for the historical record. The quiet bartender had become one of the most important figures in galactic history. "Colonel Kim," they asked, "can you explain how humanity was able to infiltrate the Empire so completely? What made your intelligence network so effective?" Kim Tae-ho considered the question carefully, as he had learned to do during his years undercover. The Empire made the same mistake that most powerful civilizations make. He said slowly, "They became arrogant. They assumed that their success meant they were superior to everyone else." He continued polishing glasses as he spoke, his hands moving in the same steady rhythm that had characterized his years as a bartender. "But the truth is that no species is inherently superior to another. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. The key is learning to use your strengths against the enemy's weaknesses." General Nalvex had also become a frequent visitor to the cantina. The former Empire commander now worked as a military historian, studying the tactics that had led to his defeat. His 6 arms moved constantly as he took notes during Kim Tae-ho's explanations. "Humans did something we thought was impossible." He buzzed to the journalists. "They created an intelligence network that operated for decades without being detected. Every major alien government had human agents and none of us realized it. Kim Tae-ho served the general his favorite drink, the same courtesy he had shown during the war. The transformation from enemy to colleague still amazed visitors, but Kim Tae-ho had learned that holding grudges was counterproductive. The network succeeded because we understood alien psychology better than aliens understood human psychology. He explained, we knew that most species would dismiss humans as inferior and harmless, so we used that prejudice against them. Admiral Song entered the cantina wearing civilian clothes instead of her military uniform. She had retired from active duty and now served as Earth's Minister of Galactic Affairs. Her silver hair had gotten whiter, but her sharp intelligence remained unchanged. Kim, she said warmly, I have news from the Galactic Council. The final war crimes trials have ended, and all Empire leaders have been sentenced. The galaxy is officially at peace. Kim Tae-ho smiled and poured the Admiral her usual drink, the same precision and attention to detail that had made him an excellent spy, also made him an excellent bartender. What happens now? He asked. Do you think the peace will last? Admiral Song considered the question while sipping her drink. The galaxy has learned that humanity cannot be conquered or enslaved, she said thoughtfully. But more importantly, the other species have learned to respect each other as well. The Empire's fall freed everyone, not just humans. Around the cantina, beings from dozens of species sat together in harmony. Voraki. Warriors shared tables with Nexari diplomats. Zephyri scientists discussed projects with Terran engineers. The fear and hatred that had driven the Empire had been replaced by curiosity and cooperation. Li Ji-hai approached the bar wearing casual clothes instead of her intelligence uniform. She had also retired from active duty and now worked as a cultural liaison, helping different species understand each other. Do you ever miss the old days? She asked Kim Tae-ho. The excitement of being, undercover the importance of the mission. Kim Tae-ho looked around the peaceful cantina filled with beings who had once been enemies working together toward a common future. I prefer this, he said quietly, teaching the next generation and watching. Former enemies become friends. This is what we fought for. Park Min-ho joined them at the bar, his maintenance coveralls replaced by the formal robes of an ambassador. The former saboteur had become one of the galaxy's most respected diplomats. The young intelligence officers want to hear war stories, he said with a smile. But I keep telling them that the real victory was not defeating the Empire, it was building something better to replace it. As the evening continued, Kim Tae-ho served drinks and listened to conversations just as he had done for years. But now the talk was of trade agreements and cultural exchanges instead of invasion plans. The beings who filled his cantina came seeking friendship instead of conquest. A young human reporter approached the bar with a question that had puzzled many people, Colonel Kim. Why did you choose to stay here after the war? Why not return to Earth and enjoy your retirement? Kim Tae-ho paused in his work and looked around the cantina at the diverse group of beings who had become his customers and friends. Because this is where the real work happens, he said. This is where different species learn to understand each other, where former enemies become allies. He continued his explanation, while serving drinks to a mixed group of alien students. This cantina represents what the galaxy can become when we move beyond fear and prejudice. Every conversation here helps build a better future for all our species. The quiet bartender had become more than just a war hero. He had become a symbol of hope for galactic peace. The man who had gathered the intelligence to defeat the Empire now worked to ensure that such conflicts would never happen again. As the night ended, and the last, customers left. Kim Tae-ho cleaned his bar and prepared to close. The same routine he had followed for years, but with a completely different purpose. No longer was he hiding his true identity or gathering intelligence for war. Now he was building bridges between species and teaching the next generation. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson of all: never underestimate the quiet ones, because they might be listening to everything you say, and sometimes the person serving your drinks might just be the one who changes the course of history. Kim Tae-ho turned off the lights and locked the door of the Stardust Cantina. The quiet bartender who had become Earth's most feared killer had completed his final mission, creating a universe where such deception would never again be necessary. The legend would live forever, but the man could finally rest.